Okay, cool. One, two, three, action. My name is Maitri. It's like your tree, my tree. I've been dancing since I was 3 years old. It's always been a hobby and a passion. I used to work full-time, and that's when I decided after a couple of years for working for someone that I wanted to take the plunge into entrepreneurship. And 15 years ago, I started my dance school. I started my first dance class. I didn't think it was going to be a dance school, just on Saturday morning as a single class. And then slowly over time, it grew into where I was teaching a class every single day. I ran this model for about 5 years where I was working full-time and at the same time managing the dance classes on the side. And then I had an injury. Being a dancer, I do have always struggled with lots of injuries all across. And that's when I had 3 months off work, and I decided that the dance school is doing really well. Maybe I'll take the plunge and quit my full-time job and go and do this. My partner was very supportive from day one, and he said, yeah, go for it. If not, you have the job. I am there to support you. Let's just give this a go. And I remember having a conversation with my dad, and my dad being very old school. He was very skeptical, and he's like, you're telling me you want to quit your full-time government job and you want to dance? Are you sure this is what you want to do? And so that took a bit of time convincing. And also, I think one of the reasons being when I first started the dance school, I was 21 years old. So I think it's about that age as well. You really are not thinking about, is this a big risk? What's going to happen? If I'm going to start a business today, I'm going to think about a business, 10 times more than what I did when I was 21. So I sometimes think ignorance is bliss because I didn't really know what I was doing. I just kind of went with the flow. I think when I was in university, I used to live in Brisbane. And that's when I had a part-time job like all uni students do, but I really missed dancing. And that was the first time I took up a role in a dance school as an instructor. And I just loved the fact about sharing the passion that I have for Bollywood dancing with others, to see so many of the students in class who have never been a dancer all their lives, now in their 30s and 40s, taking dancing up for the first time. So I think I really connected with that part where I was, bringing so much joy to their everyday mundane life through dance. I'm trained in Indian classical dancing, salsa, jazz, hip-hop, but Bollywood is something that's a big part of my culture, my heritage, where I've grown up with. And I found that when I did started working as a dance instructor, Bollywood is something in Australia everybody connected with. So you could be a 45-year-old mom with 3 kids, never have been to a dance class as a child, but as an adult, you might feel a bit silly going to maybe a ballet class or contemporary class because you might think my body is not going to move the correct way. But with Bollywood, it's just very welcoming for anybody of all styles, ages, anybody and everybody. So I think that was my main attraction to Bollywood. And at the end of the day, it's just fun. We bought a property where we had a detached garage. So we had converted the garage, it was quite a larger garage, into a dance studio. So I ran it there for 2 years. And we started with a single class a week on a Saturday morning. And at the end of 2 years, we were teaching classes. I was teaching every single night. And now we were turning people away. So I think that's when we realized we need to move to a commercial setting where we can have a much bigger studio and where we can accommodate more. So for me, I think that just the physical space going into a commercial unit, that was a big turning point, and I thought, oh my God, this is something serious, this is something big. It took us a while because being a dance school, our biggest requirement is we do need a large open space, but we also need equal amount of parking spots. So for example, in the current business that I'm running, in a dance class every night, we have at least 30 to 35 students, which means we need 35 car spaces. I'm very happy to say that I have a lot of students that have been with me for the last 15 years. And even so many from my kids' classes. So 15 years ago, they started as a little 3-year-old in the kids' classes, and now they've grown, they are teenagers, young adults, and they are in our adults classes. So I find that's very exciting, and it's also lovely because it's almost like a second family because we've been together for so long. So in the current about 250, 300 students we have, I have at least 25 of them who have been with me since day one, 15 years ago. My favorite demographic of student is a 40-year-old mom who has 2 kids, has kind of forgotten about herself a little bit. And now the kids are a bit older, they're sort of busy with their school life, and she really wants to get back to being herself. She wants to, maybe lose a little bit of weight, but do something fun. Is not fond of the gym, but wants to try on a new activity. Always as a child, she thought she wanted to dance for, X or Y reason, didn't manage to join a dance class. And now as a 40-year-old goes, what can I do which is really, fun, easy, and it's not going to be too stressful for me. So that's my favorite demographic. Like any other businesses, there's always lots of struggle. So obviously COVID was a bit hard on us, like everybody, especially with the dance class, because it was really hard to maintain that distance when you're dancing. It doesn't feel natural, especially in dance, because you have so many formations. Sometimes there's partner work, so we had to be very mindful of that. But I think COVID sort of applies to everybody. But other than that, we've had a couple of challenges, if you may say, when it comes to copycats, or we've had maybe a team member who has tried to leave the studio and then maybe tried to poach some student. But that, like anything, I think I used to get really mad earlier, and now I just take it as a pinch of salt, and I think anybody copying you is the best form of flattery. So it doesn't really bother me anymore. But yes, challenges come and go, but we stay strong and we keep dancing on. So unlike traditional dance schools, we do 2 concerts a year. So that gives, a lot of extra pressure on us. That's just the way we have designed our curriculum. And we do it a bit differently to other dance schools who follow school terms. So we don't do school terms because we firstly started as an adult dance school. So our classes, once they begin in January, they just keep going. We keep a short term of 5 weeks and it just rolls over. So sometimes when it gets close to concert time, that's when I'm pulling my hair out, I'm getting the extra gray hair. And every year I talk to myself, like a couple of weeks before the concert, why am I doing this? But I think that's like any other business owner. And then on the day of the concert, when you see the show that you've put together, the happy smiles on all the students' faces, then you go, you know what? All that hard work, it's worth it. So I think, for me, it happens twice a year when I think I've had enough, I can't do this anymore. But then the show day happens and everybody's happy and it's a great show. And we continue on to the next year. And I think the other part that's attached to the concert is we are a telethon community partner. So every year through our ticket sales for the concert, we raise funds for telethon, and we have raised $62,000 so far. So everything that we dance, it's Dance for Good because we're raising it for a good cause. So with the wellness, what happened was 7 years ago, being a dancer again, I have lots of injuries. So I had broken my left ankle. I've had 2 surgeries on it. And the last surgeon said, I'm not sure if you can go back to dancing again. And that's when I said, I'm not going to listen to him and I'm going to see, because I understand my body, I'm going to see what I can do for it. And that's when I just started doing a lot of research for, a personal problem that I had, because I wanted the recovery. I wanted to heal my ankle. I just wanted to find a way where I could dance again. And that's how I sort of stumbled upon longevity, biohacking, red light therapy, infrared. And I sort of went down that hole, sort of found out a lot of machines and different therapies from overseas. At that time, 7 years ago, we didn't have a lot of access to that in Australia. So I thought, well, I have the dance school, and there is a lot of dancers I know who have similar injuries, whether it's knee or hip or, something's happening, something's going wrong. So I thought I'll just buy one of these machines and it'll take me maybe 5 years to pay for it. And in the dance studio space we had, I'll just have one room for like recovery. And I just had no website, no business plan, just made a little Instagram page. And the first month of having that, we went viral and we had 76 bookings. And that's when I sort of stumbled into the fact that I think this can be a serious business. There's a lot of broken people in Perth who need this service. So that's how I started the second business. So again, it was a personal need, wasn't meant to be a business on day one. We, sort of dissolved the business where we used to see people in person, and we turned the business model into a 24/7, completely contactless, staffless model. So we only have contract cleaners for that business, and we have currently no staff for that business. So it's very unique. It's the first one in Australia to be of that kind. And again, it was a big testing phase when we first started that nearly 2 years ago. But it has worked really, really well. We've got great feedback from our clients. So I'm very happy that we pivoted to that angle. With dance, it's been 15 years. We're going into our 16th year now. I do not think about it as a business anymore, because for me, it's just an extension of myself. So one of the things I've been very particular when it comes to hiring somebody for the dance school, so I have a team of 6 instructors right now, is we always hire internally, which means it is one of our senior advanced students who've been with us for a long time. And that's when I see the potential where I think this person really understands the culture of how the dance studio operates, is just a people's person, has great personality, as a dancer, really good skills, technique. And that's when I'd approach them and go, I would like to offer you a position as an instructor. Even if they haven't been an instructor before, I would love to spend that time to train them to be a trainer. Because in the dance world, it's very different to be a great dancer and very different to be a great dance instructor. They are two very, very different positions. It doesn't matter whether you think the idea is great or crazy or it's not going to work. But if you have, like full passion for why you're doing it. So I think your why is very important. And I think the why you want to start the business has to do nothing with the money you want to earn. Because let me tell you, if you're going into business, you're going to be working 3 times harder than you would in a traditional corporate job. Because a business is 24/7, it's non-stop, you're going to have dreams about it, you're going to be brushing your teeth and thinking about your business. So it is constant. So whatever the project that you're going forward and turning into a business is something that you have to be very, very passionate about. When you do go into a new business, there's going to be a lot of people around you wanting to give you advice. Whether it's, your well-wishers, family, your best friend. Some of them may have some experience from running businesses, but a lot of them might not. So I recommend listen to all that opinion, but at the same time, just block out the white noise and just focus on what you need to do. And, these days we're living in the age of AI. So honestly, you have the whole disposable of an entire team on your fingertips. So if you really want to do it, you can make it happen.